What's going on, YouTube family? This your man Pristine, back with another video. Welcome to the unboxing and first initial thoughts and impressions for the brand new TCL Stylus 5G. Let's dive right into this thing. Now, this phone just kind of caught me by surprise. I think on Thursday, this past Thursday, today being June 5th, this past Thursday, I got a notification, as I am plugged into a lot of different sources that provide mobile device news. I got a notification on my phone that TCL was, releasing a device with the stylus, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was currently at work at the time, and so I didn't really have time to kind of get into it and read up on it and get all the specs and so forth. And then on Friday, I believe, my man Jay Will, shout out to Jay Will. If you guys ain't hip, you need to get hip. Jay Will at Smartphone Conversations. Y'all need to check out his channel, get subscribed, because he's got a lot of dope content. Big ups to my guy Jay Will. He released an unboxing video of this, and I was like, oh, the phone, I didn't realize at the time that it was out. And then he mentioned that it's out and it's a T-Mobile exclusive. And of course, his content was dope as always. And so at that point I was like, okay, well, yeah, let me get down to my local T-Mobile so I can pick one up myself. And here we are. All right, so this definitely interests me because of the fact that it has a stylus. The price is also very attractive. So I'm just looking to see, what TCL's iteration of a stylus device is, especially given the fact that the price point is very, very affordable. And so of course, we all know about the Notes. We all should know, but if you don't know, Motorola, they've got the Stylus, they've got the Stylus 5G. There was one that just recently came out, the Stylus 5G, the Moto Stylus 5G 2022 just recently came out, but that phone is like $499. And so, given the spec sheet, some people may find that device is a little overpriced. Well, the TCL Stylus 5G here is sitting at a cold $249.99. Okay. Here's what you get for $249.99. Let's start off with the display. All right, we've got a 6.81 inch 1080p by 2460 full HD plus LCD panel. Yes, you heard me right. I said LCD panel. Okay, we've got a 20.5 by 9 aspect ratio. We've got a screen to body ratio of 90.2. We've got a 395 pixel per inch density. We've got 500 nits max brightness. We've got 2.5D neg glass, which is on the front. We've got a plastic frame and a plastic back, but I'm not too sure that a lot of you will mind that once I get this phone out of the box, because from what I've seen, it looks good. And one of the things that a lot of people have said that have handled this phone is that even though it's got a plastic feel, or a plastic, it's plastic, it feels really premium, and you're able to grip the phone. It doesn't feel cheap or anything like that. So, I'm looking to, get my hands on this device here shortly once I get it out the box. Now, the internal specifications, we've got the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G chipset, and we've seen that in one of Blue's most recent phones. I believe it's the Blue F51 5G. I think that was the first device to rock the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G chipset, and apparently this is a very powerful MediaTek chip. Okay, so we've got that chipset here housed in the TCL Stylus 5G. We've got an octa-core CPU clocked at 2.2 gigahertz. This is running on TCL's UI 4.0. We've got a Mali G57 GPU, 4 gigabytes of RAM. Wish it would have been 6. That's kind of the standard nowadays, 6 gigabytes of RAM, but we've got 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of onboard storage. We do have an SD card slot, up to 2 terabytes of memory expansion. We've got 110 gigabytes of end user space, and we're running the latest software, Android 12. Now, on the rear, as far as the cameras, we've got a quad camera setup. We've got a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 5 megapixel super wide sensor, a 2 megapixel macro lens, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, featuring LED flash, PDAF, 4x digital zoom, HDR, and 1080p recording at 30 frames per second. Now we've got the selfie camera at 13 megapixels, and it has LCD flash and 1080p recording at 30 FPS. Now the battery size, and this is kind of surprising given how big this device is, the battery size is 4,000 milliamps. Not trying to start off with any gripes because this is actually my first TCL device. Some of the other devices that were really good, I just didn't get my hands on them for whatever reason. And so this is actually my first TCL device. And so I don't want to make it seem as though I'm slamming the device, right? I want to give it its just due. I want to give it a chance. But I feel like as big as this phone is and the battery standard that currently exists in the smartphone realm in 2022, I would have liked to have at least seen this battery be 4,500 milliamps to maybe 5,000 milliamps. Okay, we see that in phones that are actually smaller than this. And like I said, this phone is a beast, and it may not seem like it because of the 20.5:9 aspect ratio, so it's tall and it's thin. But this is a big phone, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, 6.81 inches is no small feat. All right. So 4,000 milliamp hour non-removable battery. We've got USB Type-C, USB 2.0, USB OTG. We've got 18-watt quick charge. Now, TCL is claiming that it's a 2-hour charge time from 0 to 100, and that's a lot of time. Okay, if you ain't got 2 hours to spare, if you're completely drained and you don't have like a battery brick that you can carry with you that's charged up, this is not one of those types of devices where you can charge up really quickly and it's going to give you, in 10 or 15 minutes, 40 or 50% battery life. This just isn't that device. All right. Now, the additional features, we've got a side mounted fingerprint sensor. We've got facial recognition. We've got Bluetooth 5.2, NFC, voice over LTE, voice over Wi-Fi, dual stereo speakers, HD voice. We do have a 3.5 millimeter jack, and we've got dual noise canceling mics. Now the color that we can get this in, the only color that there is lunar black. I did see a silver one online, but I believe that the exclusive color to T-Mobile, which is the only place that you can get this, also you can get it at Metro PCS as well. So even if you go to TCL's website, it'll say where to buy, and then you click on that and it goes right to T-Mobile or Metro PCS. And so this phone is sold exclusively through T-Mobile or Metro PCS, and you can only get it in lunar black. Now maybe sometime down the road they're probably going to release the other color, because I swear I've seen this in silver as well, but the silver one is not being sold in the US, at least as of now. Okay, now the dimensions, we've got 7.51 ounces, 213 grams, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so as you can see, standard white TCL box. It's got a picture of the device on the front there. As you can see, you got your T-Mobile sticker right there. To the left side of the device, TCL Stylus 5G. On the bottom, you just got your serial, IEMI number, all that stuff. To the right, TCL Stylus 5G. And on the bottom, TCL Enjoy More. On the rear here, we've got TCL Stylus 5G, and it just kind of gives you, you've got the pin, 6.81 full HD, 50 megapixel sensor, Core X8, and then 128 gigabytes of ROM, and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, that's what we've got on the back of the box. So let's go ahead and get this joint unboxed. Now, as soon as you take off the lid, you're going to be greeted with the device, and you can see right there at the bottom that our stylus is poking out a bit. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just slide the phone out of the plastic like so. There we are. Go ahead and file that to the side. And wow, yeah, this phone it's tall. It's very tall. Let's go ahead and power it on. We should have some juice here. Okay, just felt a little vibration. There we are, TCL. All right, so let's just set that to the side real quick and see what else we got in the box here. Okay, so there is our SIM ejection tool, and here is our literature. I like the fact that it is wrapped in plastic. Quick start guide and so forth. Don't really need that, so we'll go ahead and file that to the side. Oh, okay, well, now we've got This is our 18-watt charging brick. This is a rarity because we don't see these come in the boxes anymore nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. And it's gotten to a point to where we're not even seeing even you know, the cord. I mean, Sony's new device that costs $1,500 is coming with just the phone and the quick start guide, I believe. So it's interesting how these companies are taking out more of the packaging, but they're charging more for the devices, right? I don't quite get that, but I do like the fact that we have both the charging brick and the charging wire here, or the charging cord rather. And let's see here, as you can see, we've got USB-A to USB-C. All right, so let's go ahead and get that filed to the side. And let's get back to the device here. And as you can see there, it says hi there in typical Android fashion. Now, real quick, go ahead and turn off the display. Let's just go ahead and look over some of the hardware. Now, I do like the fact, now again, this, if you take a look at that, look at that. Now, this is plastic, but it's got a nice feel to it, right? And it doesn't feel as though it's going to be a fingerprint magnet, at least on the rear. I mean, the front being 2.5D glass or any kind of glass, you know, unless there's some kind of oleophobic coating, you know, for glares and smudges and stuff like that. I mean, it's probably going to be a fingerprint magnet, but the rear, no. It feels nice. It feels premium. Yeah, I really like the way that it feels. And you could also notice too, around the sides, there is, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's rigidity all around the frame. Like, can you see that line in the glare? Can you guys see that? That's all around the device. And so that gives you some gripability when you're holding this phone. And again, this is 6.8 inches, but it doesn't feel that big because of the aspect ratio. So the phone, it's tall and it's thin. It's not that wide. And so it kind of gives it a feel as though it's not as big as it really is. But this is a big phone, ladies and gents. All right, now, again, to the right, we've got our power button right here and our volume rocker. And this power button also acts as the fingerprint sensor. I like the fact that it is side mounted. I've gotten used to that with, you know, rocking my Surface Duo 2. Full pristine review coming for that. You know, it's 7 months, almost 7 months later after that device has been out. And so I got my full review. You guys want to make sure you're tuned in so you don't miss that. Here's one of the noise canceling microphones right here up top. To the left of the device, here is our SIM tray. And that's also where we're going to house our SD card slot for memory expansion. Okay. And there's nothing else there. Bottom of the device. Here's our 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, another noise canceling microphone. Here's our Type-C port for charging. There's a one of the dual stereo speakers. And then here is the stylus pen. And you can see how it clicks in and you just push it in and it pops out. And I like the look of this, the way it feels as well. I mean, it's very S Pen-ish. You know, kind of looks similar to the S Pen. I think the S Pen is a bit thinner. I do like the fact that too, I don't know if you just saw that, but I mean, when you slide it in a bit, it's like it's got a magnet on the inside of it. And so it just kind of sucks it in real quick and holds it in place. I mean, so it doesn't drop out of the little slot. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Now again, to the rear, says TCL and then the IEMI number of the device. And then here is our quad cam system for the camera. Again, the display, 6.8 inches corner to corner. And yeah, that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen, for the cosmetic hardware. So I'm going to pause the video here, get things set up at least to the home screen desktop, and then I will be back in and we'll browse through some of the software. I'm really looking forward to this OS. I know that previous videos that I've seen on TCL devices, I like how their UI is a bit different, and so I'm excited to to test out this new UI, check it out, see how I like it in comparison to some of the other user interfaces that I like in the Android space. So, you know, you guys chill for a bit and I'll be right back with you. All right? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in with the TCL Stylus 5G here at the desktop. Now, after playing with this device for a little while, for $249.99, you know, 250 bucks, I mean, you know, there's a lot to like about this device, and there's also a few things to be desired. Now, those things for me aren't necessarily determining factors, given the price point, and you know, they say, you know, you get what you pay for, but don't be confused when I say that. I'm saying that just because of the fact that you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here, but you know, TCL, they had to cut corners here and there, you know, to, you know, enable us to have, you know, such an affordable price tag. But you are definitely getting a lot for that 250 bucks. I mean, so, you know, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some of the meats, you know, of this device. Now, again, I gotta say that the 6.81 inch display, again, this is an LCD panel, and you know, the last LCD panel that I had, which was the Moto Edge 2021, and I returned that phone. I didn't even bother wasting time doing a full review, and I should have, but I thought that that was going to be the device that was supposed to be replacing the Moto Edge Plus from 2020, and in fact it was not. It was more their mid-range, and you know, the phone was a little disappointing, you know, only in the sense that it wasn't what I was expecting. You know, so, you know, it's a good phone, you know, and it has a lot of good things about it, but it wasn't quite what I was expecting. And that phone also had an LCD panel, and it was very noticeable that that panel was LCD. You know, the differences between, you know, LCD and OLED can, in some cases, be very dramatic. Most of my devices, you know, they have, you know, OLED panels, Super AMOLED. You know, the iPhones, you know, they got these really, you know, high quality resolution panels, and you know, they're just amazing screens to look at. I mean, you know, my Surface Duo 2 here, which, you know, stay tuned because I've got my full pristine review coming for that. Got it pimped out here in the red skin. You know, I mean, if you just look at that, look at those real deep blacks. I mean, these are two OLED displays. And, you know, once you get used to the look of OLED, just those real deep blacks, very vibrant color reproduction and color accuracy, it's very hard to go back, you know, to, you know, a dated technology, especially if it isn't that great. Now, luckily for the TCL Stylus 5G here, they've got a technology called NXT Vision. And when that is enabled, I mean, it really does something to the display. And so even with this display being as big as it is, and the fact that it is an LCD panel, some of you may think that the screen looks perfectly fine without NXT Vision on. But when you do turn it on, what wonders it does to the display. I mean, things are a lot sharper, colors are a little bit more richer, and they pop a little bit more vibrant. And I'll show you under the settings as well, where you can toggle the NXT Vision on or off. And it gives kind of a demo on what things look like with NXT Vision off versus what things look like with it on, just so that you're clear on, you know, what you're doing by having it off or by turning it on. Okay, so I'll get into that a little bit later here in the video. But first off, when you take this phone out of the box, you're getting 113 gigabytes fresh out of the box. Okay, I understand that it's the 128 gig variant, but just like what a lot of these companies do, you know, TCL, they don't say, hey, the pre-installed applications is going to take a chunk out of that 128, and so what you've got remaining after that is actually what you've got to work with. And so it's 113 gigs out of the box due to the pre-installed applications. Now, I've got, as you can see, I've got all my apps, you know, downloaded that I typically use on a day in and day out basis on the device. I haven't created, you know, the little folders and things that I typically do, you know, on most of my Android devices, but that's coming just to really, you know, personalize and make the phone my own. But this is a pretty near stock Android experience. I understand, you know, this is TCL UI 4.0, and they do give you some things to play with. They do give you some customizable options that you can really personalize this device and make it your own. And I'll show that here in a little bit as well. But I mean, not a whole lot of bloatware. I mean, really, I mean, you know, we had the Google app, the TCL application, that consists of Notes, Smart Manager, Phone Switch, NXT Vision, and Gallery. Of course, this is a T-Mobile device. It's sold exclusively at T-Mobile or Metro PCS. You're not even able to order this phone off of TCL's website. And so if you go to TCL's website, which is TCL.com or either TCLUS.com, you know, TCL, they're huge. You know, they make TVs and appliances. Matter of fact, my TV sitting right here to the left that my PlayStation 5 is hooked up to is a TCL 4K TV, and it's a really, really good TV. And they kind of swept the US. They've been around for years in other markets, but when they start releasing their products to the US and charging, you know, or undercutting the prices of the big boys and giving top quality, you know, very similar to the big boys, man, I mean, they really started making some noise in the US, especially with their TVs. And so the visuals and the screen quality on my TCL TV here to the left of this camera is amazing. I mean, so because of the fact that I already own a TCL product, even though this screen is LCD, I was like, okay, and this isn't, you know, I've seen other TCL products as well. So I was like, even though this is an LCD panel, I mean, this is TCL, you know, they got a pretty good track record, you know, with their, you know, with the quality of their products, and they're affordable. So yeah, but I mean, of course, you know, you got the T-Mobile suite there. Amazon shopping did come on it, you know, as some bloatware, which I shop on Amazon all the time. So, you know, that's an app that I definitely will use. You know, we had the calculator, the camera, obviously, the clock, the compass, contacts. Facebook was pre-installed as bloatware on the device. I do rock with Facebook as well. So, you know, again, one less app that I would have to download onto the device. But Google TV, GPay, McAfee Security. Interestingly enough, it had its own messaging app. See right here, it's messages and messaging. Now I've gotten so used to on Android devices using Messages, which is the default text messaging app on most Android phones of today. So I thought it was very interesting that Messages was not pre-installed on the device, but TCL utilizes their messaging app, which just is messaging. But again, I'm not using that. I've got Messages downloaded from the Play Store. That's the default text messaging app that I elect to use because I've just gotten so used to it. Okay. But My Script Calculator 2, Nebo for TCL, obviously phone, the Play Store, radio, settings, video, weather, and that was it. That was really the only thing that came on the device. And so, you know, like I said, I mean, a pretty near, you know, stock Android experience with the exception of the TCL bloatware, the T-Mobile bloat, and like I said, I mean, the Facebook app and the Amazon app. But not a lot, not a whole lot more other than that. There were no games that came preloaded on the device. Even though this device, it does have some pretty robust gaming options and capabilities to take advantage of if you do want to game on this device, and I'll show that as well under the settings here momentarily. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty clean, experience. I mean, so if you are more of a stock Android enthusiast and you're interested in this device, I mean, you're not going to have to worry about, tons and tons of bloatware, on the device. Most of the stuff that came on here, if you don't want it, you can go ahead and uninstall it. You know what I mean? So that's going to free up, storage space on your device for you to download whatever apps you would like to utilize that space with. All right. So what we'll do real quick is we will pop into the settings and we'll go down to system, and when we go to about phone, you can see TCL Stylus here, and display, camera, storage is going to give you all the specifications that I basically read off at the top end of the video. The CPU model number, TCU UI version, battery capacity, you see 4,000 milliamps, Android version 12 right there. The Android security patch level is March 5th, 2022, and we are in June. Today is June 6th. I'm hoping that a security patch is going to be coming soon down the pipeline for this device. Again, this is my first TCL device that I've ever owned, and so I'm hoping that they're pretty generous with the security patch updates and software updates, for that matter. Now again, we are running the latest software version, which is Android 12, but we'll see, as time goes on and we start to get, Android 13, 14, all that type of stuff. We'll see how many of the software updates that the TCL Stylus 5G will actually get, right? It's going to be the tail of the tape. All right, so now we go back out of that and let's see, system update, check for updates. No, your system is up to date. Okay. So real quick, let's check out the biometrics really quickly. Now, I thought that before I set up the biometrics that when I double tap the display that it turned the screen off and on, but apparently you can double tap to wake the display, but you cannot double tap to put the display to sleep. So in order to put the phone to sleep, you have to press that power button, which also acts as the fingerprint sensor. Again, I've gotten so used to that side mounted fingerprint sensor here, now that it's on the Surface Duo too. Well, it's always been there on the Surface Duo, but this is my Android device that my main SIM is in. I mean, getting ready to drop the full pristine review for that, 7 months later. But I've just kind of gotten used to side-mounted fingerprint sensors. I mean, so it's a bit refreshing knowing that it's side-mounted on the TCL Stylus 5G, and it works lightning quick. I mean, you'll see here, I'll just barely tap it, and it just opened right up just like that with no problems at all whatsoever. I'll demonstrate that again. Just a quick tap. Well, boom, and it opens right up. Facial recognition is the same speed. Basically, here, I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. So I pick the phone up and turn it towards me. Double tap the display. Well, oh, really? Now it doesn't want to work. Boom. And it just goes right into it like that. I will show that again. And it just pops right into the display. Now I have it set to where, when you hit the finger, once it recognizes your face, then it just unlocks and goes to your desktop or whatever app that you were utilizing last. But you can set it in the settings to where once facial recognition does recognize your face, then you'll have to, perform an additional gesture, maybe swipe up on the screen or something like that to take you to, your desktop. So you do have the ability to change that in the settings if you don't want to just pop up into the last thing that you were doing. All right, pardon me, I have to get a little swig of my alkaline water. Yeah, me. But yeah, so biometrics, I mean, not a problem on this device. It works 100% of the time. In all actuality, the biometrics on this device is a little better than certain biometrics that I've seen on flagships. And so, that's really, that's saying a lot. I like, the attention to detail that TCL decided to implement when it comes to securing the device, but then also, you know, making it easy for the user of the device to access the phone. All right. So, you know, I am a fan of the TCL UI, which is 4.0. I like the way things look. Again, this is Android 12, and so, you know, there are some Android 12-ish type things, you know, in this device. Obviously, it's running on the latest software, but this doesn't look exactly like the Pixel or any other phone that is, you know, more so stock Android, and, you know, just the overall look that Android 12 provides. And so I like the look of TCL's UI. You know, the user interface, it's a little bit different. You know, it's a clean look, like especially like with the quick toggles when you swipe down. I'm a big fan of the way that this looks. I like it. It's very organized. You know, it's kind of reminiscent to me slightly to, you know, the iPhone when you swipe. This is my iPhone 13 Pro, got that Alpine green, and I mean, well, there's some slight similarities. You know, how you got like certain things. You know, like certain squares are long, others are, you know, shorter. You know what I mean? Like, and you see the quick toggles on the iPhone, and it's very similar. You got big squares, medium-sized squares. You know, some of the toggles are longer, and so, you know, this too kind of gives you like a combination, you know, of you know, the shapes of your quick toggles. And so I just like the way that it looks. You know, pardon me. And, you know, again, you know, we can, you know, toggle these. You know, you can hit that little pin right there, and you can customize these. You basically just long press and just use your finger just to move, you know, the quick toggles about where you want them to be. Again, we do have NFC on this device, which is right there. I mean, so that's just, you know, confirmation, you know, that we do have NFC on the device. And for the tiles that we've got, you know, we've got Wi-Fi calling, Bluetooth, media, brightness. That is mobile data. I believe this is auto rotate. I think that's screen trimming, flashlight, airplane mode, do not disturb, NXT vision, mini notification, dark mode, location, cast, hotspot, NFC, battery saver, one-handed mode, data saver, eye comfort mode, screen recorder, device controls, nearby share. And then the ones that aren't in the actual list are storage, focus mode, bedtime mode, and system update. And so, like I said, if you want to move any of these around, you long press it and just drag it where you want it and leave it. And that's where it will forever be until you decide to change it again. Okay. So those are your quick toggles, ladies and gentlemen. I like the way that looks. I'm a fan of that. If you long press on the display, it's going to give you some options. You got wallpaper, themes, widgets, and home screen. Now, when we go to themes, again, I love customization, and I like the fact that TCL gives us options to be able to customize our device. And you can also find this under the display settings as well, but this is just a quicker way to get to it by just long pressing on the display and going to themes. And so by default, it's on round style. And basically what that is all of your applications are rounded. Then you got square style. I think that all the applications being square provides a bit of a cleaner look, which is why I decided to go with the square style. Like, I just like the way that it looks as opposed to that circular look. To me, the square style seems to be a bit more organized, in my personal opinion. And I'm just super meticulous, and I'm all about organization and cleanliness and things being tidy or whatnot. And I'm the same way with my devices. And so that's why, you know, sometimes people, they hit me in the comments and they ask me like, yo, you know, what UI is that? Or, you know, what launcher is that? And I'm like, it's the default launcher that came on whatever phone that they're referring to. And they're like, oh man, well, you know, the way things got changed around looks so dope. And I'm like, yeah, because that's me toggling the wallpapers and, you know, me playing around with the settings and creating folders and, you know, changing, you know, the apps from circles to squares. or other little, you know, squares. I think some phones, they have like Squircle. It's called Squircle, where it's like a circle combined with the square, and it's just like it's an interesting shape. Like, but I like it. Like, I like the way that it makes the applications look. And so, yeah, I've never put another launcher on any device. I toggle wallpaper, I toggle the apps. If I'm able to change the app shapes, I do it. You know, I may change the font style, you know, which is also something that you're able to do here on this device. And so, you know, you can choose the different fonts. You can choose cursive writing if that's what you want. You've got like 5 or 6 different options as far as the size and the way that the letters look. Again, customizing your device to make it your own. I'm really about that life. Okay, then here on the bottom we have freestyle, and what that is that's just going to be a combination of your apps being circled and squared, but then it's also going to change the wallpaper. And so you notice here, if we go to round style, you see it changes the wallpaper, and then all your applications, they're circular. Okay, now we'll swipe back up on that, and well, my bad, long press on the display, go to themes, and again you go to square style, hit apply, and now all my applications are squared. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And you see, I don't know, to me that just seems like it provides to me just a little bit more organization, right? And you know, the circles, I mean, they're lined up evenly, everything, you know, it's not like they're, you know, not lined up if like that. Nothing's uneven or anything like that, but to me it's just, you know, the squares and the lines being completely symmetrical, and you know, man, I like the way that it looks, right? So then here, let's see what freestyle looks like. Now you see that lightens up the wallpaper a little bit, and then you got certain apps are squares, other apps are circles. Okay, and then when you swipe up to your app drawer, same thing, it just kind of mixes it up a little bit, but then it also changes the look of some of the applications. I noticed that the radio on some of the other theme settings, the radio app was different, so sometimes it'll change, you know, the app icon as well. So, you know, that's actually pretty cool. And I like the wallpaper. Like, I like that lighter, that light wallpaper, and just how it kind of gets darker. Well, I'll just keep it on that for the sake of the video, right? Because I like the way that looks. Of course, you already know I've got my dark mode enabled, and so, you know, that's in the settings. I'll show you where you can go to toggle that. Yeah, those are just some quick settings that you can access. Of course, you go to home screen settings, you've got home screen style. This is where you go if you want to choose whether or not you want a home and drawer screen, or if you just want a home screen only, which means that all of your applications are just gonna be on your home screen, and you're just scrolling several apps based on how many applications you've got. Okay, now I'm more of a fan of the home and drawer screen. I like to keep a certain amount of apps on my home screen, and then just have everything else cleaned up in alphabetical order in the app drawer. Okay, so, but that's where you go if you want to change whether or not you want an app drawer or not. Okay, now we got home screen grid. This is where you're going to be able to change how many apps you have in a row. You got 4x5, 4x6, 5x5, and 5x6. Now, my thing is 5x5, and it's on 5x5 by default, and so I'm just going to leave it there. That means 5 apps that can go across, and 5 apps that can go up and down. That's what that means. And so if you've got 4x5, that means that you can do 4 applications across and then 5 applications up and down. Okay, so you just choose whichever one you want to choose. You hit apply, and then boom, it applies it. Okay. Go back to home screen settings. So then we got fill empty cells. That automatically fill empty cells when apps are removed on your home screen. Google Feed, that's when we swipe hard to the right, it's going to take us to our Google Feed, and it's just going to, you know, however we have our Google Feed customized, you know, it's going to give us bits and pieces of information on, you know, what it knows that we want. Okay, we got recent app icon badges, add icon to home screen, and then home app launcher. Okay, and then you see the only launcher that I've got here is the TCL UI, but I mean, you know, it's an Android device, and so you are able to put other launchers on this device if that's what your little heart desires. All right, so that's that. And now let's pop in, and this is the Google feed right here. So when you swipe hard to the right, this is your Google feed. Now, one of the things that is, to me, to be desired is a higher refresh rate. Like, I would have liked to have seen that at least give us 90 hertz TCL. And you know, again, the phone is $250, and you know, there's a lot to like about the device. But again, when you get so used to, you know, ProMotion. Like, you see the smooth scroll. Look at that. You see how smooth that is? I mean, that's insane. That's 120 hertz refresh rate. Like, that's what that looks like. Like, that's very noticeable. Okay. Versus it's very, I mean, it may not show it in the camera, but it's very choppy. Like, there's no high refresh rate on the TCL Stylus 5G. And so, you know, you're capped at 60 hertz, which is, you know, used to be the standard a while ago. But we're in 2022 where 60 hertz refresh rates are no longer, you know, the standard. You know, so it really would have been nice, you know, if TCL would have implemented at least a 90 hertz refresh rate just to give us a little bit more smoother scrolling effects. To some of you, that may not be a big deal, but I mean, you know, again, I mostly, you know, play around in the upper mid-range tier flagship caliber devices. You know, I very seldom, you know, play around, you know, in the budget space. And so now I've had some really good budget devices that just packed everything. Higher refresh rates, all the features, options, wireless charging, dual stereo speakers, good cameras, case screen protector in the box, all that type of stuff from Blue, right? And Blue meaning bold like us. I mean, that F, I think it's the F91 5G by Blue. That phone is a beast, and I think it's the same price, you know, $250. And you can order that on Amazon or from Blue's website. And that device also has the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G chipset, which is a really good chip. Yeah, and that phone is a beast. So yeah, you know, that would have been nice to have. And so, you know, it's gonna make your scrolling effects, you know, a little bit choppy, you know, but I mean, does it work? Yes, absolutely it works. You know, but like I said, when you get used to those higher refresh rates, then it's like you don't necessarily want to backtrack to a device that has no high refresh rate. Like I said, I mean, the least TCL could have done was given us 90 hertz. Okay. But for whatever reason they didn't. Whatever. It is what it is. All right, now let's pop into settings. We got Wi-Fi. We got Bluetooth, mobile network connections. Again, if you are looking to access your NFC, you can do it in the quick toggles, or you can access it through connections. Okay, and this is where you're going to find tethering and mobile hotspot, data usage, VPN, private DNS, NFC, cast, printing, Chromebook, nearby share, and Android Auto. Okay, that's under connections. Home screen and lock screen. Okay, this is where you're going to go. You can change your wallpapers. Let's see, wallpapers, and we only have 6 of them that are pre-installed on the device, but you can go to My Photo or Recently Used, and you know, you can put your own wallpapers on here if that's what you would like to do. Okay, We got home settings, and that's basically where we just were when you long press on the display. Default home launcher, again, also we just saw that. Now lock screen style. So this is TCL or classic, and not sure if you guys can see the little demonstrations that it gives. So this is what classic looks like, and then if you choose TCL style, that's what that looks like. Okay, so I like the way the TCL style looks, and so I'm just going to keep it locked on the TCL style. Now we've got notifications on lock screen. When you click on that, it says show all notifications or don't show any notifications. Usually on most of the Android devices that I've had, it gives you the option to it'll say something like don't show sensitive content, like still show that there's a notification, but just don't show the contents of that notification. So I think that it's interesting that the only options that you got as far as notifications on the lock screen is show them all or don't show any. Right? I would have liked to have had that third option to where it's like, okay, show that there is a notification. Say like if I get a notification from Facebook. Well, if I have, show a notification but don't show the sensitive information, then it's just going to show on my lock screen that, hey, I got a notification from Facebook, but it's not going to show any of the content. So, if somebody is like glancing over at my device, they can potentially see, my message. And so that's why a lot of times I choose that option. Well, this is not even giving me the option to do that. It's just, if you don't want any of your notifications on the lock screen to be shown, you have to don't show any notification, which means, if your phone goes off and you miss it and you just look at the display to see if you got something, it's not going to show. You're actually going to have to open up the phone and like look at your text messaging app and see if there's a badge, that states that there's a message waiting for you. So I'm not really a big fan of that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's not a determining factor, but I would have liked to have seen that additional option present. And it's kind of strange that it's not, because it's on every Android device. All right. We got wake screen for notification. So that's like if your screen is asleep and a notification comes through, it's going to wake up the display. So even if you're at a distance from your phone and you don't hear the notification sound, you'll see it light up. And that's an indication that you need to check your phone because you got a text message, an email, maybe you missed a phone call or what have you. Or you got a message on Snapchat or Instagram, Twitter, all your social media handles, that sort of thing. Pocket mode, this is prevent accidental operations from being carried out on your phone when it is in your pocket or bag. And then this is skip lock screen. So after face unlock, go directly to last used screen. So you want that on if after facial recognition recognizes your face, for it to just pop right into your desktop. If you turn that off, it's going to unlock the device, but there's going to be an additional gesture that you're going to have to utilize by like swiping up on the display or swiping from the side or something like that in order to fully unlock your device. I just like for it to scan my face and just pop right into what I was doing last. Okay. So that's how you toggle that feature. And then it says, if you're looking for other settings, fingerprint, face unlock, screen lock, and then sleep. Okay, so you do have some quick settings right there that the phone will recommend if it thinks that you're looking for something else, and you don't have to dive deep into the settings if you're not able to find those things. Okay, so now we go to display. We've got brightness level, adaptive brightness, darker display mode, dark mode, eye comfort mode, sleep, color mode and temperature, font size, font style, auto rotate screen, status bar, and Dotch. And I'll talk a little bit about Dotch here in a moment. More display settings, and then looking for other settings, it just gives you the wallpaper option. All right, ladies and gentlemen, pardon the slight interruption there. So again, under the display. So let's tap into color mode and temperature. All right, so change display gamut based on display content. Now by default, it is on vivid, okay? Then we got natural. Now this is interesting. Usually on a lot of other devices, also when you come into the color temperature mode, it is on vivid. And usually when you click on natural, natural is the more softer tones and not as bright. Like vivid is like real clear, detailed, oversaturated a bit. Colors just pop a little bit more. But it's interesting. Look at the top screen here. Look at this screen. Did you notice that difference? Like, check this out. Did you see that? It's weird. It's like, it seems like natural should be vivid and vivid should be natural. Like it seems kind of backwards because that's how it is on other devices. On most other devices that gives you this option, it's usually on vivid by default, but it looks like this. And then when you put it on natural, it kind of tones the color tone down some. Okay, so I think that's very interesting. But it's on vivid by default. Then you got advanced. And then when you go to advanced, you have saturated or sRGB. So you can toggle the sRGB. You've got this little color circle here to where you can take your finger and you can just navigate the colors to your little heart's desire and set them however you want them. And then you got default, warm, cold, or custom. And you can really customize your display to your liking. Okay, so that's under the advanced setting. Okay, and then of course to get out of that, you just click back on natural. And like I said, it was on vivid by default. I like the way that vivid looks, and so I'll just keep it there. So that's where you want to go if you want to change the color mode and the color temperature. Now we have font size, which obviously, you know, you move the little slider there at the bottom and you're going to be able to increase your font size. But then you've got font style. And this is what it looks like by default. But then you can choose this one, and that was going to change the style of the text slightly. Then you got that one, which also changes the style of the text. And then you got another one, the text are a bit smaller. Then you got cursive, which that looks beautiful. Like I really love the way that that looks. Okay. But just for the sake of the video, I'm going to keep it on default, but I'm just showing you guys that you have these customizable features to really personalize this device and make it your own. Okay. But I'm a big fan of the cursive writing. And then you have this font style as well. Okay, so just for the sake of the video, we'll keep it on default. And yeah, font style is where you go to toggle that. And again, we got auto rotate the screen, status bar, and dodge. Now, I'm pretty sure you're gonna ask, what is a dodge? A dodge is that little circle which houses the 13 megapixel selfie camera, which is very good. Now, why do they call it a dodge? Because it's a dot and it's a notch. So they combined them and they call it the dodge. A lot of displays that has the hole punch in the middle, what do they call it? They call it an infinity O display or an infinity dot display, right? That's what it's called. And so interesting how TCL just thought, I wonder who came up with that, but they were like, well, let's just call the selfie camera on the infinity O display or the infinity dot display, let's just call it a dodge. It's a dot and a notch, but it's not necessarily a notch, but it's in the same space where a notch would be if the phone had a notch. You know, or I guess it sits close enough to the top of the phone where maybe some people would consider it to be a notch. I don't know, it's weird. But that's what TCL is referring to the hole punch cutout for the 13 megapixel selfie camera. Okay, a dodge. All right, now you got show network speed, battery percentage icon, and what you can do, you can have do not show the battery percentage, show the battery percentage inside the battery icon, which the numbers are very teeny tiny, hard to make out. And then you got next to the battery icon, which may take a little bit more space in your status bar, but the numbers are much bigger and you're able to see, your battery percentage much clearer. Okay. Now, if you have 20/20 vision in both eyes, then that's probably not going to be an issue, for you. But, those of us that are, getting up in age, and got to put on our focals or our contacts, having that bigger battery percentage available for us to clearly see without having to squint. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, yeah, I'll keep it on there. Now, if we click on Dotch and it says status bar and Dotch display options. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is where you get to control whether or not the Dotch is hidden or visible. So by default, it says make use of full display area in supported apps. So what does that mean? That means that just like here on the wallpaper, you see the Dotch, right? You see that. You see the hole punch right there. Okay, now if we go back into settings and hide front camera without moving the status bar. Okay, now you don't see the Dotch. Okay, because the display has been moved down slightly underneath the notch, but you still, and I like the way that looks, but you still, on the top left, you've got your time, you've got your notifications, and then to the right of the Dotch, you've got, your, if you've got Wi-Fi on, you got your network connection bars, you've got your bars as far as your data connection, you've got your battery percentage and your battery icon. Okay, then let's go back to the settings. Then you got hide front camera and move status bar. So let's check out what that looks like. Boom. So now what that does is it hides the front camera and the status bar, which shows the clock, your notifications, your battery percentage. Now that's moved to the top of the display where the display stops directly beneath the Dotch. Okay. So you've got some options as to how you want this to look. Okay, now me personally, I have gotten used to devices having that Infinity O display or the O display or the Dotch, whatever you want to call it. I've gotten used to that look. To me, the hole is not intrusive on the screen at all to me. It may be to you, but if it is, then that's what you've got these options for. So I like the fact that TCL implemented such a thing to give us the ability to control how we want that notch or that hole punch to be shown, or whether or not we want it to be shown at all. Like, okay, I'm a big fan of that. So I like the fact that they give us options. Okay, big fan of that. So that's what the Dotch is, and that's where you go under status bar in Dotch to customize that to your little heart's desire. Okay, so those are all the features and functions that we're going to find under display. Now, when we go to NXT Vision, now check this out. Can you see? You look at the photo here. Look at the demo that it's showing. You see how there's a shade that's kind of moving left, or it's moving from right then back left. So the left side is NXT Vision being off, and that's exactly what the display is going to look like. With NXT Vision on, then it's giving you a preview of what it's also going to look like. So with it on, the screen is brighter. The colors are more vibrant. The color accuracy of the reproduction is a little bit oversaturated, which I don't mind because I like for the colors to pop. So it gives you a clear example of what the display is going to look like with NXT Vision on versus what NXT Vision off. And so I like that. And so, by looking at that, then it kind of gives you, a pretty good idea of what you're going to be dealing with by either having the feature turned on or off. All right. Now, I've got the feature turned on just because I like for things to be oversaturated. I like for things to pop. I like for things to jump out at you when it comes to color, accuracy and detail and so forth. Like I love that. Okay. With NXT Vision off, to me, it makes the screen darker, more dim. it seems like I would have to increase the brightness settings a bit. And why have to do all that when I can just turn NXT Vision on and you're getting a crisper looking display? And you can turn that on for a lot of different things. So you've got image enhancement, automatically enhance image contrast, sharpness, and dark details. And this is one of the things that's going to really make this device's display pop, even though it's an LCD panel. With NXT Vision turned on, it may fool you into thinking that it's an actual OLED panel when indeed it's not. So, you know, I mean, there's definitely a benefit of turning NXT Vision on versus having it off. But you've got video enhancement, which is enhance the color contrast and depth of details of video to bring a cinema grade visual experience. Well, who doesn't want that, right? So it's like, that's a no-brainer. Click that on. Okay, we got game enhancement, improve the shadow detail and enhance overall gaming graphics. Well, if you're a phone gamer, who doesn't want that enhancement, right? So if you're a phone gamer, click, turn that on. Okay, now for display mode, you got reading mode, which is optimize the screen display to make the reading experience as comfortable as physical books. Eye comfort mode, filter out blue light and adjust the color temperature of your display to reduce eye strain. Okay, you've got darker display mode. In dark light environment, turn on darker display mode to achieve lower screen brightness. Okay, then you got sunlight display mode, and this is increase readability under sunlight. And so like if it's a bright sunny day out, sometimes when the glare of the sunshine is beaming directly on our cell phone screen and we're reading content or trying to, it can really make things difficult. And so with this option turned on, it's going to sense that there's like bright light beaming into the display, which is possibly obscuring your vision to be able to read it. Well, what this is going to do is it's going to increase the brightness. So when it says increase readability, basically what it's saying is it's going to increase the brightness to make it a little bit easier for you to be able to read the content, even in those bright conditions. Like, that's pretty thoughtful of TCL to implement something like that. Now, the thing is to see how accurate it works. So stay tuned for the full pristine review, because I'm going to talk about whether or not that's a feature that actually works, or if it's just a gimmick to make it seem like the phone has features and functions when in actuality they're useless. we gonna find out. You know, we gonna find out for sure. Okay. And then under screen color, you got color mode and temperature, which I've already displayed not that long ago. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that falls under the NXT Vision feature. All right. Now we got sound and vibration. Now, I don't know if this is an Android 12 thing, because I've been noticing that a lot of phones that typically did not have the notification volume and the ringtone volume separate, I've been noticing that now they are separate. And so maybe this is an Android 12 thing, and if it is, bravo. I'm a big fan of that. Just have to give a little ovation for that, because of the fact that there are so many times, ladies and gents, where I may want to increase or decrease the volume of my ringtone, but I may not want to touch the volume setting for my notifications. But in most phones, they are consolidated, which means if you're trying to turn down your ringtone volume, you are also turning down your notification tone volume. And I am not a big fan of that. Or vice versa. If I want to increase the volume of my notifications, but not necessarily increase the volume of my ringtone, well, if those two settings are consolidated, you don't have a choice. If you're turning up the volume for your notifications, guess what? You're also turning up the volume for your ringtone. And I absolutely despise that. So I love the fact that it gives you the option. You see, we've got the ringer volume and we've got the notification volume. So if I want to turn my ring volume all the way up, but then leave my notification volume exactly where it is, I can do that, or vice versa. Okay, so I love that feature. Okay, now, of course, we've got silent mode, we've got phone ringtone and vibrate, notification ringtone, and just real quick, speaking of vibration, okay, because I got to keep it 100 with you guys, I'm going to keep it honest. The haptic engine on this device is trash, flat out. I mean, yes, is there a little bit of a vibrating sensation? Yes, there is. But I mean, it It is not good. And was I really expecting it to be good on a phone that's $250? No, I really wasn't. But the way to remedy that is just turn it off, because it's not a pleasing experience. And after some of the devices that I've had where it has really good haptic engines, like the Pixels or the iPhones or even the Samsungs or even the Motorola's, I mean, my Moto Edge Plus 2022, I mean, the haptic engine on that device is beast mode. Like, it feels so good in the hands. This isn't either one of those devices that I just mentioned as far as its haptics. So do yourself a solid. Turn them off. You'll thank me later, okay? Or I'll thank you. Thank me later. But do yourself a solid and turn off the haptics, okay? But the haptics are trash on this device, okay? But they are present, but they're not that great. Okay, so you got notification ringtone, alarm ringtone, do not disturb, headset mode. And yes, we do have a headset mode. Why? Because we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack right there. And that is a rarity. So those of you that still like to plug in with a wire, you ought to be on bended knee, kissing the ring of TCL, because they blessed you with the 3.5 millimeter jack. And that's a rarity nowadays in 2022. It's damn near obsolete. And I think it's just a matter of time before we're not going to see headphone jacks on phones ever again. Like, I believe that those moments are fast approaching. So savor the moment, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if a device not having a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack has been a determining factor for you and you decided against that phone, then the TCL Stylus 5G got you covered. All right, they got you covered. But you may want to start slowly transitioning to Bluetooth and wireless, because trust me, 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks, they going away, extinct, dinosaur status. You know what I'm saying? Extinct. So revel in this moment, ladies and gents, because it's not going to be on too many more devices. All right. Now, when you go to more sound settings, then you've got your dial pad tones. That's, you know, the tones, the sounds that you hear when you're dialing a number. You got screen locking sounds, touch sounds, vibrate on touch, haptic feedback for touch, keyboard, and more. That's where you can go to turn it off. And so I just did myself a solid. I suggest you do the same. All right. Then you got power on sounds, and then emergency alerts. And this is for, like, you know, amber alerts, extreme threats to life and property, severe threats to life and property, amber alerts, child abduction, emergency bulletins, public safety messages, recommended actions that can save lives or property, state and local tests, receive test messages from state and local authorities, emergency alert history, vibration, alert reminder, and you can have it alert you once or every 2 minutes, every 15 minutes, or never. Now, you know, if there's some life-saving notifications that are going out there, I want to know what they are, so I'm just going to keep it on. We'll do at least once. All right, we'll do at least once, because a lot of times when these things go off, I mean, they are blaring, they're super loud. You know, I love when I'm at work and I'm an anesthesia technologist, you know, so I work in an operating room in a trauma center. And so I just love it, you know, when we get like a gunshot victim and it's balls to the wall, all hands on deck. We're trying to save somebody's life and everybody's got their phones in their pockets. And then all of a sudden we get an Amber Alert because there's like a child abduction and you got some fool who abducted a kid on a freeway, and you get this Amber Alert with this person's license plate number and the year, make, and model of the vehicle. And we're trying to shut it off, but we can't because we got gloves on and we got blood all over our hands and we don't want to touch our personal phones with these bloody gloves and this and that. And so we just have to sit there, and you got like 8 or 10 people that may be in the room whose Amber Alerts are all going off at the same damn time. And there's nothing we can do about it but wait for that damn annoying noise to stop. Like, it is not fun. So I would recommend, ladies and gentlemen, just putting the alert reminder on once, and that's it. you know, do yourself a favor. Unless you just want to get continuous notifications and, you know, you want to try to save the day and jump in your vehicle and try to chase down the abductor and, you know, be the hero. You know, get it how you live, man. No judgment over here, man. No judgment over here. All right, so that's sound and vibrations. Now, notifications. We got app icon badges. Select how to show icon badges when apps receive new notifications. Now, if we click on that, you got show with a number or show without a number. So if you hit show without a number, it's just going to have a little dot right next to the notification, indicating that there is a notification. But I like to show with a number because it's going to show me how many notifications I've got, and I'll know what to expect whenever I click on that particular application. All right. Then we got on the lock screen, show all notifications or don't show any notifications at all. I think that's fugazi. We should have the option to show sensitive content, but still show the fact that there is a notification on the lock screen. Okay. Lock screen quick settings. Quick settings can be dragged down in the lock screen. Okay, that's on notification icons folder. All notification icons will be hidden in a separate icon. Mini notifications are shown in the form of a small ball preview. Click it to open a floating window to reply to a message without interrupting your task. Okay, so that's what mini notification is. We got manage app notifications, notification details for each app. Okay, and that's just going to take you to every app that you have installed on your phone, and you can customize in detail exactly the amount of information that you want the app to display. This is where you control, you know, the level of detail from the notification from each individual app that you have on your device. Okay, then we got notification history, show recent and snoozed notification. Oop, bumpy cam, my bad. Oh, my battery's about to die. Okay, hold up, let me plug in. Ooh, all right, my bad, y'all. Yeah, my battery in the camera's about to die. I have to plug in. All right, so let's proceed. Give you what you need. Know what I'm saying? Had a little P. Diddy flashback. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where was I at? Okay, so that's notifications. Now, button and gestures. So system navigation, gestures, power key, double tap to wake. Okay, so if you want button navigation, boom, that's going to be right there at the bottom of the screen, and you can control the orientation. If you're I'm left-handed, but I'm ambidextrous, and so I handle all my phones in my right hand, and so I like for the back button to be on the right. In the middle is home button in the middle, and then recents on the left. But you can change that orientation if, in fact, you hold your phone in your left hand. Okay, so you can change the button layout. Then you have gesture navigation, back from side. Or if you click on more, it just basically gives you a tutorial on the swipe gestures. Wait. Let's see, hide gesture guide bar. Oh, okay. Whoa, so it also gives you an option to, okay, so you can use gestures to swipe from the sides, or you can just kind of, now this is very Samsung-ish. So they tore a page out of Samsung's playbook, and because you can do this like in one UI, you can hit gesture controls just like this, and you can choose whether or not you want, Nana, come here, baby. Here, turn that light on. Come here. Okay, here. Have a seat right here. Okay, stay close. Okay, my bad. Yeah, you can choose to have, your back, home, and recents. And so, okay, man, that's dope. Okay, so yeah, you can do that. Or you can have gesture navigation, and you can have Okay. So when you turn off hide gesture guide bar, then these are the guide bars right there. And based on your gesture navigation, how you had your button configuration, how I had mine set, this is going to be back, this is going to be home, and this is going to be recents. Okay. And you see when I swipe from the sides, it's no longer allowing me to do that because this is the gesture operation that I selected. That's dope, man. I like that. I like that. I like that it gives that choice, right? And so, you know, it just gives you a different way of controlling your device if in fact you don't want it to function just like all of the other Android devices. So I like that. See, okay, TCL, okay, yeah. Okay, and you see, so I'm going back. Okay, so this is where you're gonna go for your gestures. I like that, so I'm gonna keep it there. All right, I'm gonna keep it there for now. And maybe I'll toggle it later, but maybe I'll just leave it in this orientation. Now it's gonna be easier because it's like, you know, these buttons, I mean, they're sitting like right on the stand that my phone is on. It's kind of a weird angle that I have to hold my finger to make sure that I'm able to do the gesture. But when it's in your hand, I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing to do. All right. So, and you see it works. Okay, so that's under button and gestures. Okay, so now we go to advanced features. We've got Smart App Recommend. And what that is after connecting headset or speakers, recommend suitable applications on the launcher according to your habits. That's turned on. Okay. Then, okay, so when it's turned off, it says specified app. So select recommended app. So say whenever you connect a headset or speakers, obviously you're doing so to listen to music. So what you can do is you can click on this and you can choose Spotify, you can choose SoundCloud, you can choose YouTube Music, you can choose Apple Music if you've got that downloaded, you can choose Pandora, you can choose to have whatever app you want open up as soon as you plug in to the 3.5 jack. That's pretty dope, you know? So I like that feature. And so when you hit Smart Recommend, the phone is going to recognize when you plug in, and I think more than likely it's going to recommend some of the apps that you've already got installed, or it may take you to TCL's own music player, which it does have on the device as well. Okay, so that's what Smart App Recommend is. Okay, so we got one-handed mode. All right, so one-handed mode, we got one method and we got two methods. The first method is to swipe down from the quick into the quick toggles, and you got one-handed mode right there. Okay. Or you can choose access one-handed mode in using gestures. So it says if you're using 3-key navigation, swipe across the navigation bar to enter one-handed mode. And then you could also customize, you know, how big or small you want the one-handed mode screen to be. By default, it's on 3.5 inches, but you can increase it to 4 inches, all the way up to 4.5 inches, or you can hit customized and you can basically make the screen as big or small, wide or narrow as you would like. Whatever's comfortable for you for the one-handed mode. Okay, so that's your one-handed mode operation. We got app lock, game mode. Now here, this is what I was saying. You got a bunch of different modes in game mode. So you got my games, add games to the list to enable game mode automatically when playing games. You got game box, display a game box icon in launcher. You can manage and start games in game box. Then you got hide games on home drawer. Display optimization. So again, NXT Vision Gaming Enhancement. Enhance the color contrast and depth of the detail while gaming to provide HDR quality viewing. Okay, now I'm going to turn that off because I'm pretty sure that's going to consume battery, and the fact that I don't game on my mobile devices, it's like I don't need to have any of these features or functions turned on. All right, but we have constant brightness, notification settings, disabled 3-finger screen capture, just so that you're not accidentally taking a screenshot when you're just trying to perform a gesture that's game related. Okay, you got game turbo, makes the best performance for playing games. It will also increase the power consumption. So you're, phone's probably going to run a little hot. You're going to be frying through that 4,000 milliamp hour battery. Constant volume, optimized network, which is limit other apps network usage while game mode is on, or clean up background apps, meaning clean up background apps to release storage for games. Okay, so these are all of the options that you've got in your game mode. Okay, we've got screen recorder, and then we got stylus, right? And that is basically this device's claim to fame, the stylus. Because there's not a lot of devices out there. We know about the Samsung Note. We know about the S22 Ultra, which is now the Note. We know about the Motorola G Stylus, which the 2022 variant, the Moto G Stylus 5G, recently came out maybe a month or two ago. Good device. Some people question the specs, and the price for that phone is $500. And so a lot of people feel as though Moto could have given us a lot more for $499 price tag. I mean, for $500, I mean, you got stiff.
Now?
You got stiff competition at $500. But if you're looking to get a phone that has a stylus for $500, unless you're looking to get like a Note 8 or a Note 9, good luck. Maybe you can get a Note 10, for $500 right now. But you're going to be kind of hard pressed for that. I mean, so this is another option that's giving you a stylus for $250. Don't be fooled by the minimalistic approach here with the stylus options. Now you got shortcut panel. Open the shortcut floating window and use convenient functions. Screen off memo, create memo when the pin is removed with the screen off, or stylus button. The stylus shortcuts functions won't be available when the stylus button is turned off. Okay, so those are all the stylus options, but hold up, because when I pop the stylus out, then you're gonna see all the options that pop up on the display, and you're gonna be like, okay, whoa, that's what I'm talking about, because it does give you a lot to mess around with. And I mean, again, just like you can do on the Note, just like you can do on the Moto G Stylus, you can sign PDFs, sign DocuSigns, take notes, draw, doodle, all the stuff that you would be able to do on either one of those styluses, you can do here. And it's actually really impressive how well this thing works at a $250 price tag. Okay, so those are advanced features. So then we got Smart Manager. This is where you're going to go to be able to optimize your device, auto start, battery, memory, notifications, cleanup, or app lock. Right now it's saying there's 4 issues to be optimized. Not really a big deal. Then we got security and biometrics. This is where you go to set your screen lock, fingerprints, and face unlock, location, privacy, safety and emergency, apps, storage. And so I've got 16% used, so I've got 108 gigabytes free. Okay, users and accounts. This is where you're gonna go if you want to turn off auto sync for all your emails, because that's also gonna help you sustain battery life. Digital well-being and parental controls, Google, accessibility, and system, which I've already displayed. Now, let's, ladies and gentlemen, pop into the camera real quick, right? Okay, you're getting a very robust camera app experience. As soon as you hit that app, you go right into the viewfinder, and it's going to be on auto, which is take a photo. You got video, portrait, and you got panorama. Okay, so let's go back to auto. Now, I believe this is going to be your Google Lens. So if you hit that button right there, then it's going to be able to identify subjects that you may be pointing the viewfinder at, which could be very useful. This little icon right there is obviously to toggle the camera to the selfie camera, which here I am right here. Ladies and gents, what's happening? These 3 dots right here are the options. You've got portrait mode, pro mode, panorama, stop motion, slow-mo, light trace, super macro, and high pixel. If we go to pro mode, you can see we got ISO, shutter, EV, white balance, MF auto, Pro X. You see, you can play around with this camera and really customize it to be where you want it to be. Okay, now we'll go into the settings. We got photo size. Now, these are the different photo sizes. Again, now the main camera is a 50 megapixel sensor, so that's pretty dope on a $250 device. All right, so it's 50 megapixels at 4.3 high pixel. By default, it's on 12 megapixel 4x3. You got 8 megapixel 16 by 9, 9 megapixel 1 by 1, and 7 megapixel full screen. Okay, now that's just for the camera. Now video, and mind you, there is no 4K recording on this device. You only have 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now, for some people, that may be a determining factor. For me, I don't care much about that because all my video content is in 1080p. I think that 1080p looks good. 4K to me, it looks solid, but the file sizes are just too large. And even though I got a 4K camcorder here that I record all my video content with, when I'm trying to upload these videos to YouTube, it takes so long because of the 4K file size. So to save on time, I just put it on 1080p, capped at 30 FPS, which is what this video is being recorded in right now. And it saves me a boatload of time when I'm trying to upload this content. So the file sizes are just massive with 4K. And, you know, the SD card that I have in my 4K camera works right now, and it gives me plenty of room for 1080p. But I noticed that if I were to change it into the 4K setting and started recording these videos in 4K, then I'm going to burn through my SD card memory immediately. And I'm going to have to minimize these videos. And some of you guys may be like, well, yeah, Pristine, you need to do that. But like I told you before, my videos are so long because my videos are geared towards teaching. I want you to know pretty much everything you need to know about this device if you commit to it. Okay, so 1080p gives me the space on the card that I've got in this camera to make these videos without having to stop and erase content and record over or this and that. Like, it's a headache doing all that. So I just keep things in 1080p. So the fact that this phone does not have 4K recording, I'm not bothered in the least bit. Some of you might be, but I don't care. All right, and that's what it is. Okay, so for video quality, we've got 1080p at 16 by 9, 30 frames, 720p at 16 by 9, also at 30 frames, and then you got 480p at 4 by 3 at 30 frames per second. Okay, so those are the video quality options that you've got. Okay, now we got video stabilization. We do not have optical image stabilization, but we have electronic image stabilization. So if you don't want your videos to be shaky, especially if you don't have a steady hand while you're holding the camera, then you want to make sure that electronic image stabilization is turned on, because that is your friend. Okay, electronic image stabilization is better than no stabilization. All right, so turn that on. You got calorie detection. Now estimate calorie from food detection. I think if you're taking pictures of food, this is saying that it's going to be able to scan the food, and maybe there's going to be like a pop-up on the screen that's going to tell you the amount of calories that's in that food. I mean, that's the only way that I can imagine that this would work. But I've never quite seen this within a camera app. So I'll test that out, and I'll talk a little bit about its function in the full Pristine review. So make sure that you're tapped into the channel for that so you don't miss that. But that's very strange. Calorie detection. That's yeah, I get putting the viewfinder on a specific food and the camera being able to tell you what it is. Like if you're showing a banana, then the screen will say, hey, that's a banana, or that's an apple, or that's an orange. But in order for the phone to identify a subject and be able to tell you the calories, interesting. All right. Smart guideline. This is provide best frame guides for portrait shots. Turn that on. We got dark shot, video button function, gesture to capture. This is use palm gestures to take a photo. So what that is just like, you know, you show the camera your palm and then maybe make some kind of gesture or something like that, and then it will take the picture. That's also a ripped page out of Samsung's playbook, because Samsung's do the same thing with their cameras. All right, we have storage, save location information, shutter sound, watermark, and then reset options. And then when we go back to the viewfinder, if we hit this little line right there, that's going to give us some additional options. So this is where we can toggle on or off our flash. These are our filters, AI scene detection, steady snap, guidelines, which I have the guidelines on, touch to capture, and then gradienter. And I'm not sure what gradienter is. Up top, we've got the aspect ratio. Right now, by default, it's on 4:3. We have HDR, and then we have the timer up top. Okay. Now, I've already taken a couple of photos yesterday playing around with this camera, and I am shocked that the camera is as good as it is on this device. Now, again, this phone is $250, and I was raised on that notion, you get what you pay for, but I have to remember the fact that I'm in 2022. It's very hard to get your hands on a phone right now that is just trash from top to bottom. It's very hard to get your hands on a phone right now that does not have at least a decent camera, right? These cameras on these phones are really hurting the photography game. And they say that the best camera is the camera that you have with you all the time. And what do people have with them all the time? Their cell phones, okay? So this 50 megapixel snapper is no joke. Like it can box with some of the big boys, in my opinion, some of these images that I've taken. And the 13 megapixel selfie camera is also a beast. Okay. Now, showing some of these photos through the lens of this camera is not doing it justice at all whatsoever. That's not doing it any justice at all. Okay. Now, this was a picture that I took in my bedroom last night. I took that of the bed, and I was just curious to see just how well the camera would do based on the dim lighting condition. And this came out so sharp and so detailed. That's the headboard of my bed, and this is the spread and the make. I mean, I'll display it where you could better see it, but this camera is dope, ladies and gentlemen. This was a selfie that I took, and blown away by the detail. Again, this is a 13 megapixel selfie sensor, and I mean, just the detail. This shot right here it blew me away as well, because it was light out at the time, and normally when the sunshine is shining through the blinds behind me, it tends to oversaturate the window because of the glare from the sunlight coming through. Even though the blinds are closed, you can still see that it's daylight outside. A lot of cameras struggle with that. And so I was largely impressed by the fact that you still can see the blinds. Those blinds are brown. So those are the actual color of the blinds right there. And the color, they're not all blown out. They don't look white, or they don't look super dark, or like an orange, or like a high yellow tint just because of the brightness that we're shining in. This camera handled this photo beautifully. Like, I was largely surprised by this. Sanaya, come here, boo-boo. Okay, come here. Let Daddy take a picture of you real quick. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take a quick picture. The shutter speed is super quick. Let's see. Silly. Okay, so this is Sanaya. Now look at that. Oh my goodness. That is, looking at it through this, Nine, look. You want to look at this picture? You want to tell the people, is that a good picture of you? It is? Yeah, okay. And then of course you see the watermark right there, TCL Stylus 5G. But just look at the detail. Oh my God, this. Okay, now let me take a selfie real quick. Okay, now here, let's take a selfie. Okay, super quick shutter speed. And just that detail. Again, this is phenomenal. I mean, this camera is going to be more than suitable for the average consumer. And a lot of people utilize the camera as a determining factor as to whether they will or will not purchase a device. I find it hard to believe that anyone who owns this phone will not be impressed with the camera performance. For $250, you are getting a monster camera system here on the TCL Stylus 5G. Right? I mean, this is more than suitable for the average consumer. Okay, more than suitable. Like I didn't, this is my first TCL device and I didn't expect for the camera to be this good. Like I did not expect for the image to produce quality photos as it's putting out. Shutter speed, there's no shutter lag or anything like that. I mean, here, look, I'll take another selfie real quick just to kind of display that. But just, boom, you see that? It just takes the picture. I mean, it's not gonna miss a beat on anything. And yeah, man, I mean, this is dope. This is dope. All right, now, the performance of this thing real quick. Now, again, we've got 4 gigs of RAM here. We got the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G chipset. There's only one other device that I know that this chipset has been in, which is the blue, bold like us, F91 5G, which just came out not that long ago. And this is a really good power efficient chipset by MediaTek. Okay, now I am connected to my Wi-Fi, so data speeds are going to differ when you're connected to Wi-Fi versus what it's actually going to be when you're just running off of your mobile data. Okay, but I'm just going to open up a couple of applications here just to kind of give you an idea of the speed of this. Now, again, these are some real content heavy applications, and you can see I haven't logged into anything yet, so that's why it's taking you to this particular screen as opposed to showing like my playlist and stuff like that. But let's go to Google. Let's go to YouTube Music real quick. Okay, and again, you know, it signs me in just like that. And again, you don't have that higher refresh rate. I mean, so you do notice a little bit of choppiness, you know, just when things are loading up. But once everything is loading up, I mean, it is just like a hot knife through butter. I mean, it's very responsive to the touch. Like I said, I mean, the only thing that I can really think of that would be desired is just a higher refresh rate. I mean, 90 hertz really would have been nice on this phone. Okay, but 60 hertz is what it is. And so I'm not gonna complain too much, right? That's what it is. Okay. Now let's pop into Amazon real quick. And again, you see just how quickly it just popped up into Amazon. All right. Let's go to CNET real quick. This is where I get a lot of information on mobile devices and whatnot. Games, cars, Bluetooth speakers, home audio, home video, just all kind of stuff. I get so many, you know, hints and tips and things from CNET. CNET is a very useful tool. Okay. Let's see, what else can I pop into to show you? Let's see, where's YouTube at? Google. Okay, let's go to YouTube real quick. All right. And you can see, again, as things are loading up, a little bit of choppiness from the jump, but then once everything loads up and you start browsing and scrolling, boom, everything is nice and smooth. Now we'll go ahead and swipe up on that recents key. If I can, because this little thing is getting in the way. Oh, okay, well you still have to swipe up and hold. I didn't realize that. Okay. So again, 4 gigs of RAM. You know, it would have been nice to see 6 gigs of RAM as well. Like a 90 hertz display and 6 gigs of RAM. And even if they would have bumped the price up, if that would have made the phone like $299, I mean, that still would be a really, really, really good deal, right? But you know, 4 gigs of RAM, it'll do. But I mean, just when you start trying to have multiple applications open at once, then that's when you're going to really feel that 4 gigs of RAM. That's when you're going to start to experience some choppiness, a little stutter here and there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I think six gigs of RAM in 2022 is the sweet spot, right? So I would have liked to see 2 additional gigs of RAM and a 90 hertz display. Okay, those are the only things that I could wish for in this particular device, right? I mean, so basically, I mean, this package is all good. You know, like I said, those things, they're not determining factors. I mean, again, these things are held very well in the RAM, as you can see. Go back to Amazon. Everything is still there. YouTube Music. Let's see. Go back to CNET. Nothing had to reload. Everything is held very well in the RAM as it ought to be. Okay. So again, we got 4 gigs of RAM on deck. That's how this phone is performing. Okay. Now, real quick before I close out the video, let's talk about this stylus real quick. Okay. Because this is this device's claim to fame. Okay. Now, I do like the fact that the stylus, it's on the bottom left, right next to the speaker. And again, we do have dual stereo speakers on this device. We got a bottom firing speaker here on the bottom. And you can see up top, there's a little slit up there. And that's the speaker, the second speaker. Or the first speaker, and then this is the second speaker rather. Okay. So now, when you pop out the stylus, as soon as you take it out, and this is very reminiscent to an S Pen with Samsung, but as soon as you take out the stylus, you got Nebo for TCL, My Script Calculator 2, Write a Note, Screenshot Doodle, e-signature, magnifying window, gift maker, and split screen. So remember I told you under the settings menu, you only had like three things that you can customize with the pen. But then when you take the pen out, then these are all the things that you're going to utilize this pen for on this device. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. And this can be used as a stylus as well. I mean, so if you just want to navigate your device with the pen, you can absolutely do that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, you see we've got this little pen icon right there in the corner. You can long press on that and you can move that wherever you want that to be. But then if you're just looking to access those same quick toggles that you saw when I took the pen out, all you have to do is tap on that and there go those options. Okay. Now, one of the things that I love the most about this, and you'll see too, as I push this pen in, you're going to notice it has a magnet in it. And so once it gets to a certain point, it sucks it in. And even when it's poked out like that, it's not going to come out. Like it is in there. Okay. And that has a little click on the end of it. So you can push it in and you can like kind of like a pin kind of, you know. Now here's my favorite feature right here. And the Note and the LG stylus. Or I'm sorry, not the LG stylus, but the Moto G stylus. This feature right here, memo on the home screen. Can you guys see those little pieces of paper? Well, it's not paper, but there's like these very faint lines to resemble a piece of paper so that if you are writing or jotting notes, you can do it in a straight line. You can't see that because of the glare, and you know, you can see me in the background, but they're there, and trust me. God, I can't even get it. I can't even get it at an angle. Oh man. Anyway. The writing is, I mean, this just feels amazing. And you wouldn't think on a phone at this price point would have these features. And I mean, you can increase how thick or thin you want things to be. You can change the color. Again, I like the red ink on that black backdrop. Red and black is my favorite color combination. I mean, so I think that that's dope. And then if you want to erase everything, oops, you can just hit clear all. Okay, and so this is just a quick, surefire way to take notes. You know, if you don't like taking notes on a bunch of pieces of paper and just have a bunch of pieces of paper in your pocket, and you're having to sift through a bunch of different things, looking for this, looking for that. This is super convenient, pardon me, to jot down notes, save them, and you can always revert back to them whenever you want to. And it's all stored in your phone, no sticky notes, no little pieces of scratch paper here and there. Like, this is a very, very, very useful tool. And at $250, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta salute TCL for blessing us with this device. I mean, this thing, it just came out of nowhere. And yo, I'm good with it. I'm happy with it. Like I said, I mean, the only things that I wish that it had was a 90 hertz refresh rate and 6 gigs of RAM rather than 4. Like, I can't recall the last time I had a device that only had 4 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's been a very, very long time. Actually, no, my iPhone. This has 4 gigs of RAM. But this thing is so power efficient, and it's got that A15 Bionic. That chip is so powerful to where, and it has ProMotion, which is 120 hertz, you know, refresh rate. I mean, so this iPhone is so powerful to where it does not matter how many tasks you're doing at the same time. There is never a slowdown, even with 4 gigs of RAM. But unfortunately, this Android device is not the iPhone. And so with 4 gigs of RAM, the more you do things, the more you multitask or you have several applications open at the same time, the more you're going to notice slowdowns and glitches and stuttering and stuff like that. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Now, me personally, I don't have a bunch of stuff open at the same time. And when I'm done with an app, I close the app. I've never been the type to have a bunch of apps open because, for one, it fries your battery. You know, and I'm just huge on not having to worry or carry chargers with me or have to live near a plug-in, because I always got to charge my phone just because I'm constantly running through the battery because stuff is just always open, or Bluetooth is on, or Wi-Fi is on, or GPS is on, or I accidentally turned on my flashlight and now my flashlight's been on for hours. You know, I see this all the time. There's so many people at work where I see something shining out of their pocket and I'm like, hey, yo, you know, your phone flashlight is on, and they don't even know how they did it. You know, phone is just bouncing around in their pocket, turning stuff on. They don't know. They ain't got a clue, you know. But yeah, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a very nice package from TCL. So I'm looking forward to getting it out and getting some real world testing done. And I'm going to be right back at you with the full pristine review. So keep it locked, because I've got so much content to come. You already know, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to expose yourself to tons of videos that I've done like this one. Hit that notifications bell, please. Whenever my videos drop and get published, you'll be one of the first to get notified. Check out the content. Hop in the comment section, which is where I'm always chilling at. Hit me with any questions, comments, any feedback, criticism, whatever. You know what I mean? Just keep it respectful. Okay? That's all I ask. Let's talk tech respectfully. Okay? So you already know. Please stay safe. Get spiritually fit. And, you know, we are living in the last days. And a lot of the actions that we've been seeing as of late is confirmation. Read the book of Revelations. Everything that's going on in the world right now was written, which means that we are near the end. We are near the second coming of the Christ. Okay? The question is, where are you at right now with your spiritual fitness? Because the times in which we're living in, man, tomorrow ain't promised. The rest of the evening after you watch this video ain't promised. Okay. We live in a sick world, ladies and gentlemen, where our kids ain't even safe in schools. Elderly aren't even safe at the grocery store. We got countries and states and, at war with each other, men, women, and children being killed. We got genocide in the streets, people dying every day over nonsense, over money, over social media beef, over rap beef, over drugs, over women, over relationships, over material items. I mean, when did value of life become so non-existent? Ask yourself that. We need to really get back to the ways of the Lord, our Creator. And He's the only one that can save us out of a lot of this mess that we're in, So spiritual fitness, I'm not trying to preach, but I'm like, hey, if I can use my platform to put some food for thought in somebody's ear about Christ, because I'm definitely a living testimony. I'm not supposed to be where I am today. Well, actually I am, because this is where the Lord placed me. But coming from what I came from, and a lot of people who used to know me back then, they're like, yo, for this brother to turn around the way that he did, oh man, that had to have been Christ. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, whatever it is that you're going through, it's never too much for the Creator. He can bear it all because He died for you and I. You know what I'm saying? And without that sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, none of us would be here today. You know what I mean? So think about that. Get spiritually fit if you haven't already. Stay in prayer. I hope you guys are safe and sound, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.